meet with us today. I think we'll have a fairly succinct meeting with some basic updates and a little bit of new information that's been gathered so far. So with that, Madam Mayor, do you have any comments for us?
No, but welcome everybody, and thank you for participating on this wonderful committee. And I know we're going to do great things. That's my pearls of wisdom this morning, Bill.
Okay. All right. Well, I think everybody in their packet got the minutes from our last meeting on June 19th. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read that. If you had, do we have a motion to approve those?
I have one comment regarding the 246 building. We're not mentioning the fact that you had an architect that you were going to give this information to, see if we could get plans from him.
Correct. So we want to make that change to the minutes. Is that what you're recommending?
I am.
Okay. Karen, did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, who are you going to get? What architect are you?
His name is Mikhail. He is the same individual that did the work on the new CBC church.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Very, very reasonable. He's not very expensive. He'll do the basic conceptual drawings and floor plans, etc. And that'll give us an idea what we might have to work with, and it would give us an initial scope.
Okay, good.
With that change, I will move that we approve the minutes.
Yeah, I second that.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Aye.
done. One other thing before we go to the progress updates, just wanted to mention that been corresponding with the two Merrills, Harrison Senior and Junior, and got a meeting set up with them via Zoom later this week with a couple of us to really continue the discussion on what they might be interested in doing, what we might need to do as the city to encourage that, and to really make sure that it is truly a benefit ongoing to the city and our citizens. We want to make sure that it's a win-win both for any developer and for our citizens, and it aligns with what the majority of the people want here in Sky Valley. So just want to give you an update that should be happening later this week. With that, I guess we can continue our conversation on the building on Highway 246. And just a couple comments. I mean, Holly, Dan, Bob, Ed, and I toured that on the 26th, and Dan did a great job getting dimensions and measuring that building to verify that the drawings we had were fairly accurate. And there were some discrepancies, but overall, that was very productive. And really, the whole purpose of that was kind of look at options for that building, what we might be able to do, what needs to be done if depending on what we decide to do move forward, whether that's to rent it, to do other functions with it for the city, like a welcome center or a community center, or sell it. I mean, we need to see what we're working with and what needed to be done. As I just mentioned, I'm meeting with an individual Saturday to review, potentially get renderings and floor plans that would help us define a scope of what we might need to do there. And no decisions are made. Obviously, whatever we decide, recommend from this committee would have to be taken to the city council. But we're moving forward there, trying to make sure that we understand what we might be able to do, what it might cost us to do it, or what the best option is. And that's my update for that. Dan or Holly, you have anything else to add there?
There's a couple of things I want to clarify over there, and I've been unable to catch up with. I really need to get into Denise West side and haven't caught up with anybody there yet, but I do want to get, as I say, some clarification on the location of some of the mechanicals.
Okay.
When you're meeting with him, is he coming here or? or what?
Yeah, I'm going to meet him at the building.
If you'd let me know, I'd like to join you.
Okay. He he has a meeting with the CBC Church, I think at 8 a.m. and right after that, I was going to meet him at the building. So it's Saturday and it's probably somewhere around, I would think around 9:30ish,
Okay.
maybe 10.
I will get the key from the city so that we can get in.
Great.
Very good.
Yeah. And Holly, if you want to just ping me on my phone, around 9-ish, 9:30, about 9:15, I'll let you know where we are.
Okay.
Just to add too, Bill, and I think this is understood, but we had a lot of discussion about not only the inside of the building, but also doing something that would improve the aesthetics on the outside of the building.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, if we're going to keep that building, it needs to project the quality of Sky Valley, which it currently does not. And that's part of the conversation with this individual we're meeting with on Saturday to see what kind of recommendations he might have that would be very cost effective and potentially do some renderings for us so that we could have some sort of vision of what that might look like. Because as we know, when people drive up 246 there, they see our city hall and they see that building, and that's all they know about Sky Valley if they haven't been here. So if we're going to keep it, it needs to project that quality. And the second thing, the other comment there is, as we discuss this, there's some potential interest in people wanting to buy it, et cetera. But we have to really consider whether or not we want to lose control of that prime real estate in our discussion. So more to follow.
I got a question. Does it project quality when we have a police car sitting out in front of it?
No, it just it projects safety and security.
Raise your right hand if you believe that. Okay, let's move on.
I do.
I believe deterrence is everything.
Yes, especially in this day and time.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Any other comments?
Ella, I know that you have contacted an electrician to take a look at the wires that are dangling on the back of the building. Do you have any a report
No, I
on
don't
that?
have any update from him, but I will tell you what happened Friday. On my day off, I ran into an electrician out of Demarest, and I'm going to reach out to him today and see what he can come up and give me a price. I talked with him Friday, and they said they would be glad to come up and look at it. So, because I can't get Hunter to follow up with me, and I've got some other issues I need them to check on at another location. So I'm trying to get that done today.
Is that how you spent your day, just looking for electricians, Ella?
No, I won't tell you what I was doing when I saw him. So I was celebrating. Okay. I was celebrating.
All right. Anything else on this topic?
What did we ever decide on the indication of the handicap parking?
Looking here, I've got Doug's information from his bill from June, and how he has here that he sent you. He drafted an email to you about the handicap parking and selling at the building back on June the 8th. I have not seen that email, so I'm not sure if he copied me on it or what. But
he did. Okay.
I don't.
That email was just the requirements. It wasn't
Yeah.
an opinion on whether we should do it or not.
Okay.
So I think we need to re-ask the question.
Okay, I'll do that.
Anything else? Okay. Internet service. Tim, is there any update you want to share with us?
Not a whole lot. I have had some not very positive discussions with Windstream. The fellow that's our person up here, Bill, I can't remember his last name, but he's the go-to man. has said to me that he cannot give me a map. His legal people have said that they will not share a map with us whatsoever. And so I guess and then he's back to saying that he's been rerouting some of the lines, especially between the switches, the one that's at Evergreen, just down the street from you, Holly, and then the one that's behind the old lodge. Holly, have you gotten he told me they were working on you yesterday. Are you
Not that
still?
yeah, I still have pitiful service.
Yeah, he told me you should have 50 meg.
No.
And so therein lies, I think, our problem. The Windstream can talk a good story, but they have yet to really deliver. He also said that they need to be able to add, if they're going to expand well and cover, that they need to put another switch somewhere between the Evergreen switch and the one that's down there behind the old lodge. So they would put it somewhere along Ridgepole. And that would be something he'd expect us to help share the cost in. But, you know, I don't have any confidence in what they say they're going to do and what it actually can do, what they can do. So,
You know, their switches that exist are inadequate. They need to upgrade those.
well, and there lies the thing, Dan, is they say, well, if you're within 1,500 feet of one of our switches, you should be able to get 50 meg. If you're in 1,800 feet, you should be able to get 25 meg, 3 meg upload. But as Holly, who is within 800 feet of a switch, she can't get anything. So the other one, so we talked about getting together with True Vista, and I'm in discussions with the head of their marketing department, fellow that's over in Chester. I have thrown out to him the next 2 Monday mornings. I don't know how that works for you all. It worked when we had our Windstream meeting, but I'm waiting for him to get back to me about that. Do those of you that have been, Bill, Holly, Ed, Ella, next Monday morning or the 20th, would they work for you at 10 o'clock like we did last time?
Yes.
The 13th, well, the 20th won't. I won't be in the office that day.
Which day you won't be there?
I won't be there the 20th.
You will or you won't?
I will not be in the office on the 20th.
Okay, so I expected, he told me he would call me. I'd hoped that he would call me before this meeting. But again, I told him that our plan is that we wanted to confirm his level of service, where it is, and talk to him about what it would take to expand their service. And right now, they seem to be the more reliable.
So are we, excuse me, Dan, are we talking about the 13th then possibly?
We're talking about the 13th.
Okay, I can do it that day. I don't know about anybody else.
The day of our last meeting, coincidentally, True Vista was up on Alpine putting up their flags, I assume to run a fiber optic line up this direction. Was that purely coincidental or?
Purely coincidental. They have no fiber optic. They're all running on coax.
Okay, I
The only one that has fiber is Windstream. And they have fiber that feeds Sky Valley and it feeds each one of their switches.
I was driving around the Outback the other day and I noticed there is fiber cable coming up through the Outback on up to that switch on Evergreen. So they do have some fiber running in. I'm talking about Windstream.
Windstream, yeah. That's how our broadband signal gets up here.
Yeah.
It comes up the old road and then it branches from there to the other 3 switches.
Well, I run an internet speed check. I just ran one this morning and we're getting all of 3. We have 3 megs at our house.
Well,
so.
I will remind Bill Duff than that. Have you called anybody, Holly?
No, I was going to contact them this morning.
I think, because I asked him straight out, I said, where are you with helping the mayor? And he says, oh, well, we've got her fixed, but we got to do some more for her tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And I think do you still have his number?
I do. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I would call him or call somebody over his head.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 is not good.
especially after they've been working on it for over a month.
Yeah. I appreciate all you're doing, Tim. Thank you.
Well, we haven't
Holly,
got
for what
anything.
it's worth, that you're not buffering today. Usually when I'm watching you on Zoom, I'm getting a signal across that you're
Right.
buffering. So
Well,
a little improved.
we were trying to stream yesterday. Needless to say that it didn't happen.
All right. So next step is sit down with True Vista.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for all your work.
Well, we haven't gotten anything accomplished yet, so.
Oh,
Well,
also, let me mention, Bill, that the GMA sent out a brochure that they're having a broadband workshop webinar on July 22nd, and I'm going to participate in that just to see if there's any information that I can share with this group that would help us get better internet.
yeah, thanks for sending that. I put that on my calendar as well.
Okay.
Tim, are we kind of giving up on Windstream? The I guess proposal that they made was to review their services in the various areas and then to make a proposal to us of what they could do and what kind of participation they would need from us. It sounds like they've given you some verbal feedback, but nothing in the way of.
I asked Bill Duff specifically about that. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. He said he's about halfway through his response on that.
Okay.
So that's been, I can't remember what, it's been over a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they've done is they've dumped it all in the lap of Bill Duff, who's got no sense of urgency. So if you all have all their phone numbers, I think, Holly, if you called one and rattled the cage because they can't get service to you.
Well, right now, Dexter is calling me.
His ears must have been burning, huh?
The dives are out on the line.
Uh-huh.
You don't know Dexter.
Put them
Yes,
on
I
line,
think
Holly.
so.
We can all talk.
I'll call him back in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell them we were all
Talking about him?
talking about him.
Okay.
All right. Anything else with that topic?
No,
Well, so Tim, are we going to then try to schedule an official meeting when they get through with their quote report to us or plans?
yes.
Okay.
And I think when he finally produces something, we might ask him and some of that same group to come back and if we've got something tangible to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Makes
And
sense.
to talk, you said there's something wrong with our switches. Well, I don't know. Do you know about telephone switch gear?
All I
Are you
know
talking-
is when
ahead.
they tried to upgrade me and they would connect to a pair of switches and it didn't work, they had to go switch it out and connect to a different pair of switches. And they did this 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Most of the switches in their box that are still available do not work.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing to know.
Ella, I see Will Gurley
I
on.
see Will,
Okay.
Will's here. Yeah, I've asked him to connect a couple of times video wise. It's not, for some reason, it's not working. I've done it 3 times now.
Okay.
I've almost got it.
Okay. There you
There
go.
he is.
Hey. Good
It's like he's
morning.
in his car.
Sorry. Yes, the mobile office this morning.
The mobile
How is
office.
everyone?
All right.
Great.
Very good.
I hope you're not driving, Gurley.
No, I'm stopped.
Trust me.
All right. Good. Well, thanks for joining. Anything else on internet?
That's not for me.
Okay. Property owner survey. We think, I believe we have all of the survey questions finalized. The lists have been finalized. It's covering the vast majority of property owners in the valley. Pretty significant size list. Those that don't have emails are going to get mailed a postcard, so that we're trying to get as many people involved as possible. all of that's in its final development at the printer, et cetera. And, the target launch is the week of July 13th. And I know Debbie is on the call. So if that's not correct, just send a chat over. And once that goes out, our intention is to have 2 weeks for everybody to respond. And then it'll be aggregated and ranked, and then we'll share it with everyone. So that task is moving forward fairly quickly.
Do we ask each person that are taking the survey to actually rank each one themselves? Or are we just asking for what they think is important and then we accumulate it and rank them?
It's a checklist, and
Yeah.
they're ranking what's most important to them.
Most important.
Yeah. So they may have, out of a list of, let's say we have a question with 10 choices, they may, check one, they may check 5, they may check them all, whatever they think is most important to them, and then it'll be aggregated that way.
We think that's the best way to understand what the people really want. I would just seem to think that if they rank them themselves all the way down from 1 to 10, then that might be more information we could use. But, it might be onerous for them to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I'll turn that back to Debbie to think about it. And let's have a conversation about that
Okay.
to see if we can't rank it in order. That may be a little more accretive to understanding, like you say. I agree. Yeah, good
So
idea.
you think, Martin, that that's statistically relevant, more relevant that way?
I do, because there may be number 5 that we would come up on our list would actually be number 10, or on a lot of other lists that never even included because they didn't have number 5.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. Like Bill says, I think that's a great idea because it gives it more weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we asking the recipients to identify themselves on these surveys?
No. But
How do we know we're getting one per person?
Because I'm just reading from Debbie Dalhouse.
Yeah.
She said
Johnson.
she'll change it to the rank order like it was suggested there, like Martin suggested. The Google Forms that we're using limits the response to 1 per person.
Okay.
So we're making sure that as best we can, it's not going to be perfect, but pretty reasonably sure that as these things are sent out, we're going to get 1 response from whoever it was sent to.
Okay.
I mean, somebody may trick up the system a little bit, but I think directionally we should be pretty close.
Is it 1 per household or 1 per person?
If it's Google, it should be. I would think it's going to pick up your IP. So if you.
Yep, that's correct. It's 1 per computer IP.
Right. So your phones would have different IPs than your actual desktop.
Yep.
So.
That's important in your house, Morley.
What are you saying? Liz and I would cancel each other out?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think using the Google Forms and the way Debbie has organized it, we've had significant conversations about trying to make sure somebody doesn't answer it 10 times. And I think we've got about as reasonable controls on that as we can possibly get.
Is there a major concern for the anonymity of it? I mean, it might be interesting to know who's responded in what fashion and have the opportunity to talk to them about it. I mean, is the subject matter so controversial that we're worried about protecting people's opinions? I don't know. I'm wondering if we're missing something by not knowing who's responding how. And I realize that can go both ways, but just my thoughts.
Yeah. I'm not sure right now. It was designed not collecting emails or IDs, just keep it anonymous. But Debbie's saying we can add an option to provide contact info if they want to talk about it.
Well, yeah, give the option just for someone to sign off if they want to. If they want to remain anonymous, that's fine too.
All right.
But,
We can do that. We'll put that in.
thank you.
What else? Okay, good suggestions.
I got a little, I'm listening to what Will's saying. That could require a whole lot of effort on some part if this person signs their name and then is expecting some kind of a response.
Yeah, that's
Perhaps I think the quality of the information we might get back if people have their names on it might be a little bit better, rather than somebody knowing that it's anonymous just sending back something off the wall.
Are you?
I don't know.
Okay. Are you asking Tim who will do the responses?
Yeah, who's gonna?
Okay. I think Bill will.
yeah.
There ain't gonna be much left to Bill after everything else he's doing.
Yeah, I'm famous for writing very succinct, short emails. So.
I think responses can primarily come through this meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, Dan.
Yeah, if there's any, because we're going to share the results, and not that we're going to share every single comment, but the ranking of everything. And then if there was something very significant, and if it's appropriate, I would think that we would want to address it in this meeting. I think that's a good idea.
Or if there was
I would.
Go ahead, Will.
I'd put on there that your individual responses will be kept confidential. We're not going to publish who responded in
Right.
what way.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Might
have
just,
the ability to reach out to folks, I think is valuable.
yeah.
But if it comes back, we have a lot of responses asking specific questions, then I agree with Dan. We can address those here in the meeting.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Great feedback. That's awesome. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. The pond/stream across from our post office boxes. It came up on the special projects committee, and there was some conversation about trying to see what it would take to repair the dam and potentially turn that back into a pond instead of the stream that we have there. A couple of challenges. One was we don't own that property. It's Harrison Merrill's. And before we, went back to him with that wanted to put that in the context of our larger conversation with him. In the meantime, as we mentioned in our last meeting, we had a meeting on the 22nd, Tony Allred and I, with the folks from the DNR, the person who's in charge of all of the fisheries in Georgia and a regional with her. And what we found out or confirmed was that is a primary trout stream. As it flows into the lake behind the club, once it leaves the lake behind the club, it becomes a secondary trout stream, which flows into Little Tennessee. So the primary trout stream means we're extraordinarily limited on what we could do to that area. And when we brought up the fact of, doing major repairs of that dam and potentially dredging that out, the really conversation turned from those DNR folks said, you'll spend thousands of dollars just getting permits
Right.
if it gets approved. It's extraordinarily difficult to do anything with a primary trout stream. The interesting thing is when we were walking around, they discovered, and if you look right behind the dam, we've got a naturally forming mountain wetland there, and with some native plants that are coming up in there. And, their suggestion was, and they have a botanist they're going to refer out to us to identify the plants to see if those are native or special or have some sort of real value. And they had some suggestions how we might beautify that whole area and keep it natural and keep it as a mountain wetland, which is fairly unusual. And of course, that turned in a lot of conversations of how might that benefit us if we were able to actually have something like that we could protect, could promote, could label, really make it an asset for Sky Valley, as part of the natural beauty or naturally occurring features. So they did a bunch of other work, taking temperatures. We walked up the mountain, tracing the headwaters in there. They're going down the path of trying to help us determine what we can or can't do there, what we might be able to do to beautify the area from a cost-effective standpoint. And they were looking at the water temperatures, et cetera, to see if we might even have the option of stocking trout. So quite a big conversation, quite a lot of ideas. So I guess my update is stay tuned. We're doing some more work there to figure out what's possible, what isn't possible, and what recommendations might be from those professionals.
Did you find Howard Beckert still up there?
No, we were looking hard, and I was when we were and Tim, when we were out there cleaning up the entrance on, by the other day, I kept waiting. I was picking up all kinds of beer cans, and I kept waiting to find a flask of moonshine, but I could never find it. I was a little disappointed in that.
Too many highfalutin people living in Sky Valley.
Yeah, we're all drinking Bush beer.
Yeah.
and smoking.
Howard.
No.
Howard
I
saved
forgot.
those flasks to refill them.
I forgot to thank everybody. A bunch of citizens showed up to clean up and get rid of weeds on Mud Creek Road. Thank you all to all of y'all who did that. That was great. I thought it looked great along with the city for our 4th of July visitors.
And kudos to the mayor who also showed up with her driver.
You noticed my driver had his weed eater too. Yes.
I tell you what, he was impressive with that thing. He was moving fast. He had a lot of energy and actually ran out of string.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll pass that on to him, Bill.
Okay. Any questions on the pond and stream?
Did they mention anything about possible money grants that we could use to improve that area, Bill?
If we decide if they identify and it truly is something that we ought to protect, that's possible. The other thing they suggested was that there's some plantings that we could do to beautify that area. We may be able to get those donated. Tony Allred reached out to Trout Unlimited. They have some project money, I guess, to do some things. So depending on what we find out about that as being able to stock it or protect it in a way that helps the trout industry, they may be able to contribute something. So quite a bit of work still to be done there.
Maybe we can talk to Harrison Merrill and he can put in a Monet Bridge across that area. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of doubt that'll happen, but
Yeah, well, we can dream.
yeah. So, but actively working on that. So we'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
It'd be kind of cool if we had something real natural that we could promote and be able to become an asset for the mountain beauties. All right, with that, any other questions? I don't see any other chats moving up.
No.
Anything else from the committee?
No,
Not I.
All right. Any motion to adjourn?
How about we
moved.
set our next meeting, Bill?
Okay. I always forget that. Looking at my calendar.
Can we sort of space these out right now? I know we're getting a lot of work done, but I got budget stuff going on right now, so I'm sort of swamped.
Any suggestions?
Can we start doing live meetings?
I don't think so.
Well, any suggestions?
For a date, you mean,
Yep.
Bill?
Yep.
How far out do you want to go?
Well, I'm thinking about 30 days or so.
That would be good.
I think a lot of people have other plans in the middle of this. I have a surgery I have to do in August 3 and 4.
Mm. How about August the 11th? That's a Tuesday. Would that give you enough time, Bill?
Yeah, it works for me.
I've got a doctor's appointment that day.
Okay. How about the 12th? On a Wednesday.
Works for me.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's
I'm
okay
good.
with me. Me too.
Will, can you look at your calendar?
Well, Will be not a resident of the city at that point. If all goes according to plan, I'm happy to give my opinion, but we can talk about that. Yes, I'm available
Okay.
at that.
So we can make you a mobile member at large?
I would be honored to stay active, and we're not going far, but we'll have to discuss the logistics on that. So.
He's gonna be homeless.
But yes, that date works for me.
Did you hear Tim, Will?
I didn't.
He said you'd be homeless.
Well, only halfway.
Thought you were moving.
So we're talking about
Wednesday, August 12th,
We're
10
talking
a.m.
about- August 12th. Okay.
10 a.m.
That works.
Uh-huh.
Works for me.
Okay. Let's book it and we'll go from there. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Any motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second.
All
Second.
right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.